Considered to be a terrifying criminal lunatic asylum in 1948, Broadmoor Secure Hospital has housed some of the UK's most dangerous hospital patients, both today and in its sketchy past. Welcome to the top 10 most dangerous people ever incarcerated at Broadmoor High Security Hospital. Don't forget to smash the like button if you think number 1 is who I think he is. Comment down below if you think I missed anybody of any importance. And subscribe for more top list crime videos coming in the near future. I hope you enjoy the video. Number 10. John Strafen. One of the longest serving prisoners in British history, serial killer John Strafen was found unfit to plead at trial and committed to Broadmoor Hospital after attacking and killing 2 girls in the summer of 1951. Strafen is one of the few inmates to have escaped Broadmoor in 1952, managing to scale Broadmoor's 10-foot high wall using a shed during a work detail, having been in the hospital for just 1 year. During his escape, he killed again, this time attacking 5-year-old Linda Bowyer, who was riding her bicycle in the local area. Strafen was recaptured and sent to Brixton Prison, and the escape led to a system of sirens being set up to warn of any escape from Broadmoor in the future. He was initially sentenced to death for the 3rd killing. A reprieve later moved through government, and he spent time in a number of other British prisons, including both Wandsworth and Horfield. Strafen was secretly transferred to a new 28-cell high-security wing at Parkhurst Prison in 1966, and then later moved to Durham Prison's top-security E-wing in 1968. Strafen died at HM Prison Franklin in County Durham on the 19th of November 2007 at the age of 77, having never returned to Broadmoor. He had been in prison for a British record of 20,206 days, the equivalent of 55 years, 3 months and 26 days. Number 9. Haroon Rashid Aswat. Linked to the July 7th, 2005 bombings in London, Aswat was born in Yorkshire in 1979 to a Muslim family with roots in India and was raised in Dewsbury, West Yorkshire. He became involved with radical cleric Abu Hamza at the Finsbury Park Mosque in 1995 and went on to help 200 UK-based Pakistani men to engage in terrorism in both Jammu and Kashmir. American counter-terrorism officials began investigating Aswat in 2002 after he had called himself a hitman for then Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden. Having come and gone from the United Kingdom in June 2005, he left shortly before the 2005 bombings and was later linked to making over 20 phone calls with the bombers. Arrested in Zambia on the 20th of July 2005, he was deported and re-arrested upon entry into the United Kingdom in August 2005. Held in detention on a US arrest warrant, a British judge approved Aswat's extradition on the 30th of November 2006. He was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia in 2008 and transferred to Broadmoor, making any extradition to the United States impossible thanks to rulings by the European Court of Human Rights. Number 8. Robert Torto. This Ghanaian hate criminal who murdered 2 Asian men in the London district of Kennington in 2006 was dubbed the Son of God Killer in the British media. Suffering from paranoid schizophrenia and having a history of assault, he began a series of hate crimes across London. These included a petrol bomb thrown into a newsagent's shop, an attack on a South Norwood off-licence, and the firebombing of a food and wine shop in Kennington that killed 2 people. Laughing as he fled the scene of the attacks, police later caught up with Torto, whom had a list of targets in his house, which included hospitals, prostitutes and members of all non-Christian religions. He pleaded guilty to 3 counts of arson with intent to endanger life and guilty to manslaughter on the grounds of diminished responsibility at the Old Bailey in 2007. He was detained indefinitely under the Mental Health Act and was sent to Broadmoor Hospital, where he remains to this day. Did you know that there are 15 Broadmoor wards in total, run by around 420 nurses and 12 consultants, with between 8 and 20 patients on each ward and 210 patients in total? Number 7. Peter Bryan. Attempting to throw another resident from his 6th floor window off the Flying Angel Custom House in East London, Peter Bryan had no action taken against him for this unprovoked attack. He admitted the murder of 21-year-old shop assistant Nisha Seth in 1994 and was sent to Rampton High Security Hospital before being moved through several accommodations as staff thought his mental state improved. Having later been accused of indecently assaulting a 16-year-old girl, he was moved to the open psychiatric ward at Newham General Hospital for his own safety. Less than 1 month later, Bryan attacked and killed his friend Brian Cherry on the 17th of February 2004 in what police describe as a despicable crime that potentially involved cannibalism. Remanded to Broadmoor Hospital after appearing in court over Cherry's death, Bryan killed again, this time attacking fellow patient Richard Loudwell while still locked up. Pleading guilty to 2 manslaughters on the grounds of diminished responsibility at trial, he was handed a whole life order, later overturned to a minimum of 15 years. The Lord Justice who sentenced him stated that it was unlikely Bryan would ever be released. Number 6. David Copeland. Responsible for one of the worst terrorist attacks to ever hit London, David Copeland is today known as the London Nail Bomber. His homemade nail bombs were detonated in Brixton Brick Lane and the Admiral Duncan pub in Soho in the West End over 3 successive weekends between the 17th and the 30th of April 1999. Each bomb contained up to 1,500 4-inch nails which killed 3 people and injured 140 others. A neo-Nazi militant and former member of 2 political groups, the British National Party and the National Socialist Movement, Copeland was charged with murder. Aiming the bombings mainly at the Black, Bengali and LGBT communities of London, Copeland was convicted of murder and given 6 life sentences. Diagnosed by 5 psychiatrists as having paranoid schizophrenia and by one as having a personality disorder while at Broadmoor, he was eventually moved to Belmarsh Prison on a 50-year sentence. Another 3 years was added to this after he attacked an inmate, meaning he will not be due for release until 2052, when he will be 76 years old. Number 5. Gregory Davis. This English spree killer and former art student was convicted of the double manslaughter of Dorothy Rogers and her son Michael Rogers in 2003. The attacks were carefully planned, even creating a work of art in school with the names of his favourite serial killers. 5 psychiatrists diagnosed him with major depressive disorder, social anxiety disorder, alcohol dependence, and to be suffering from a psychotic episode at the time of the crimes. The court accepted a guilty plea to manslaughter on the grounds of diminished responsibility, taking into account the results of the mental health findings. One of the very few people to ever be released on this list, he was initially transferred to Littlemore Hospital in 2009 before being granted release in 2011 and then having all release conditions removed in 2014. Number 4. Kenneth Erskine. Abandoned by both parents during childhood and attending various special schools, Erskine's parents separated when he was just 12 years old. He first attempted to kill when he was just 13 years old, having tried to drown his peers while on a school field trip. Becoming more violent as he grew up, he became homeless and later carried out a number of burglaries. Opening 10 separate bank accounts with the proceeds of his crimes, he served time in Feltham Prison before his serial killing began. By the time he attacked his elderly victims, of whom there were 7 in total, Erskine was a homeless drifter and solvent abuser, and thanks to his previous convictions was linked through his fingerprints. Found guilty of 7 murders in January 1988, he was sentenced to life imprisonment with a recommended minimum term of 40 years. He is due for release from Broadmoor in 2028, although it is unlikely he will ever see the light of day due to the nature of his crimes. Number 3. Daniel Gonzalez. Inspired by horror films such as A Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th to become a famous serial killer, Daniel Gonzalez eventually became known as the Freddy Krueger Killer. A British spree killer who murdered 4 people and injured 2 others during a day across London and Sussex in September 2004, he mainly attacked the elderly in a drug-fueled rage. Gonzalez's mother, Leslie Savage, had even written a letter to her local MP before the murders begging for help help and even envisioning a terrible scenario. After his arrest, he attempted suicide at Broadmoor Hospital and had to be accompanied everywhere by officers in riot gear. Such was his violent behaviour. He was given 6 life sentences, with the trial judge recommending that he should never be released from Broadmoor. Gonzalez died in 2007 while still confined to the halls of Broadmoor Hospital. Number 2. Robert Napper. Convicted of 2 murders, 1 manslaughter, 2 rapes and 2 attempted rapes, Robert Napper is considered to be one of the most dangerous people locked inside Broadmoor. Napper has been diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia as well as Asperger's syndrome and has been linked with the possible attacks on 70 other women in the Green chain rapist case. Sentenced to indefinite detention at Broadmoor Hospital, in his summing up at the Old Bailey, Mr. Justice Griffiths Williams said to Napper, "You are on any view a very dangerous man. Many parts of the crimes are simply too disturbing to reveal here. However, one police photographer was forced to take 2 years leave after the case." Number 1. James Kelly. Confined to Broadmoor Psychiatric Hospital in 1883 for the murders of his wife Sarah Brader, Kelly was regarded as a model inmate. Using a key he fabricated himself by modelling a piece of metal, he escaped the hospital and a fugitive arrest warrant to return him to the hospital was distributed. The timeline of his escape coincided with the unsolved Jack the Ripper murders in Whitechapel, and as such, Kelly is one of the many suspected of being Jack the Ripper. Kelly is also thought to have committed a number of murders in the United States, which occurred soon after the murders in London stopped. He unexpectedly turned himself into Broadmoor and begged to be readmitted, stating, according to a local newspaper, "I am very tired and I want to die with my friends." He told staff he had been on a crusade against evil while abroad and lived in the hospital for the remaining 2 years of his life. Do you think James Kelly was Jack the Ripper? Let me know down in the comments section below. Thanks for checking out the top 10 most dangerous patients ever held in Broadmoor High Security Hospital. If you enjoyed the content and want me to cover more dangerous individuals in prisons around the world, make sure to punch the like button, comment down below if you think I missed anyone in particular, and subscribe with the bell icon to never miss another new video.